Internet entrepreneur and Serena Williams' new husband, Alexis Ohanian co-founded the user-generated news site Reddit in 2005. Ohanian and his roommate from University of Virginia began the social news site together. In 2006, Condé Nast purchased Reddit for a reported $20 million. After staying on at Reddit for a few years, Ohanian went on to found Breadpig in 2007, an online company that sells geeky things and creative services, and gives all its profits to organizations in need of funding. He returned to Reddit in 2014 as chairman, helping to steer the site through numerous privacy issues. He is still a member of the site's board of directors. According to Celebrity Net Worth, as of May 2017, Ohanian is worth $9 million, mostly from the sale of Reddit. Accolades. Ohanian, whose ancestors are survivors of the Armenian genocide, inspired him to spend time in 2010 volunteering and working in microfinance as a Kiva Fellow in Yerevan, Armenia. He wrote his first book, Without Their Permission, How the 21st Century Will Be Made, Not Managed, published in 2013. Ohanian has been included on Forbes 30 Under 30 list 2 years in a row in 2011 and 2012. Ohanian's 2009 TED Talk, How to Make a Splash in Social Media, has over 2 million views on TED.com. Forbes magazine calls Alexis Ohanian mayor of the internet, and has included him in its 30 Under 30 list as an important figure in the technology industry for 2 years in a row. Wired magazine featured him as a champion of innovation in 2013. About where he was born. He says, "I ended up being born in Brooklyn, but I could have been born in Yerevan, or probably somewhere in Western Armenia. I want my knowledge to help as many people as possible, but especially my fellow Armenians," Alexis says. Alexis Ohanian, the 32-year-old co-founder of Reddit.com, one of the world's top 100 websites, created the site together with his college roommate 10 years ago. Reddit is a kind of online bulletin board and community platform that allows users to curate content. Registered members can submit posts, links, etc. while other users vote submissions up or down, thus determining their placement and ranking on the page. Different topics are organized into subreddits that include movies, books, news, food and others. Ohanian has other successful projects under his belt as well. In 2010 he helped launch the travel website Hipmunk.com, and later the same year he founded Capital Capital, a company focused on startup financing and consulting. Breadpig.com, which Alexis launched in 2008, sells geeky items and gives the proceeds mainly to charity. Alexis considers himself a lucky guy because he once got the education that helped him become self-educated. One of the rewarding aspects of this industry is that everyone, actually, has free access to the knowledge generated here. I chose to know everything, and perhaps that was the greatest investment for me. This in Armenia. Alexis Ohanian first visited Armenia with the Kiva Microfunds non-profit organization. "I always wanted to connect with the homeland, but I finally got that chance in 2010 when I decided to leave Reddit to volunteer in Armenia with Kiva for 4 months, he says. Alexis teamed up with several like-minded people in Armenia and organized the first TEDx Yerevan where famous people share ideas on how to make the world a better place to live in. My father never traveled to Armenia before my first visit, and actually I had no idea about Armenia, perhaps with the only exception of Armenian cuisine. I have a lot of Armenian friends who returned from Armenia and they all told me that their visit to Armenia changed their lives. When I first saw Ararat, I took a quick photo and sent it to my father. I know that image has become a cliché. Anyway, it does inspire," Alexis recalls. The last of the Ohanians. In the United States, Ohanian is not a common Armenian name. The thing is that in this country it's great to be an Armenian American, but you don't need to interact with many other Armenians. If you live in Los Angeles, it is different, but in other parts there is little interaction, says Chris Ohanian, Alexis's father. Chris Ohanian was born and raised in San Francisco, California. His mother Elizabeth Dare Krikorian's family was one of the many deported families that left Beatles for Marseille, France. Later Elizabeth traveled to the United States where she met and married Alexis's grandfather, John Ohanian. "My parents were Armenians and I recognized but I didn't learn the Armenian language. My mother and father would speak Armenian to each other, but mostly as a language that my sister and I couldn't understand," Chris Ohanian recalls with a smile. "There was not much conversation about the genocide in our family. But it's interesting that as my father got older, somehow older people start to talk about things they didn't talk about." He began talking about his father. Alexis's grandfather John Ohanian's family came from Karput, present-day Elazığ, Turkey. John's parents were orphans of the genocide. His mother Mansour was in a march through the Syrian deserts. She lost her parents and siblings and ended up in Aleppo. His father Avedis saw his parents being killed. Turks came to Karput. They shot Avedis's father and they shot his mother and then they were going to shoot him. But there were two Turks on horseback and one of them said to the other, "He is just a boy, leave him." And Avedis ended up in an orphanage. And then somehow he came to America and settled down in Binghamton, which is in upstate New York, with a large Armenian community, says Alexis Ohanian. Avedis was the only one to survive from the Ohanians. He moved to the United States in the 1920s. In one of the many local Armenian newspapers, he read that Mansour, the daughter of their neighbors in Karput, was in Aleppo. He found her and took her to the United States. They got married and had 4 children, Vera, John, Elsa, and Mary. For 32 years, Avedis worked in a shoe factory. Eventually, he bought a small apartment building and made a living as a landlord. My grandfather Avedis never learned English, all he spoke was Armenian. But he knew how to work hard and make money. He was so proud to work there 6 days a week, make good money, and support his wife and 4 children. We lived in San Francisco. He would come for a long visit to California, in 1959 to 1961, for some 2 or 3 months. He was a sweet man, but there was not a lot of communication between us. He died in his mid-70s, Alexis Ohanian recalls. Alexis, the only child of Chris and Anka, who was from Germany, was born on April 24, the Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day. When Alexis was born, I can remember how excited Aunt Vera was and how she kept wondering why exactly that day and what it might possibly symbolize.